Blessings, blessings. Hey, Sandra, Caress, Natalie, Joanne. So good to see you this morning. Welcome to our Tuesday Dharma talk and meditation, or meditation and Dharma talk, because we'll start with our meditation and then we'll do our discussion or our talk after. And I'm so happy that you're here. Today we're going to be unpacking and exploring taking the pressure off and uncovering the relationship between radical acceptance and self-actualization. So these two concepts are usually held pretty exclusively in my experience, and yet they're actually integral. They're necessary for one, to have the other. So, hey, Marilyn. All right. Let's go ahead and start with our meditation. And again, this is taking the pressure off, and we're going to be exploring the relationship between radical acceptance and self-actualization. So, and I love it. Anyway, let's go ahead and have a little coffee here. Before we dive into the meditation this morning, I'd love to hear from you if you pop into the chat and let me know, like, why you're here. What's your intention? What's your aspiration? What is it you're most needing to feel or receive? Like, why did you come to this talk and this meditation on taking the pressure off? I don't know, maybe there's some pressure in your life that you're wanting relief from. I'm not sure, but go ahead and let me know in the chat. What's your aspiration? What's your intention? What is it that you're most wanting to feel or receive? Slow down. It's been a crazy busy morning. Yes. Lots of pressure when we feel sped up. There's a quote that I really love that's no time to rush. We have no time to rush, which is interesting, right? Because we usually rush because we feel like we don't have enough time. So I have no time to rush. It's a nice mantra to remember. Okay, and I'll let others pop into the chat. I'd like to hear from more folks so that it just helps me serve you better when I know why you're here. Let's go ahead and sit together. So you'll set yourself up, make yourself comfortable. Let yourself be like comfortable in a, like sense yourself being nourished. Like that you are here to receive some, some nourishment, that this is your time. That you get to show up as you are. And that you can take the pressure off of trying to fit yourself into any container or any box. There's no way that you should be feeling. There's no thoughts that you should be thinking other than the ones that you're thinking now and the feelings that you're having now. So check in with yourself. Just notice how it is for you on this Tuesday. Notice how your heart is. Notice what emotions you might be experiencing. And unhook from thinking. All of us today are practicing non-thinking as we settle in together. And this means that we become aware of planning, remembering, rehashing, rehearsing, judging, criticizing, complaining. You might notice if you're really caught in some mode of thought, like one of the ones that I just mentioned. And as you take a deeper breath, just a reminder that this is an opportunity for us not to feed our usual stories. We're entering into non-thinking. Thoughts will arise all the time, but we're not paying attention to the thoughts. We're not feeding and fueling them with our attention. And then bringing your awareness all the way into your body. Let's take 3 deep breaths together to help with this. We'll hold at the top of the inhale. So deep breath in and hold, sip in a little bit more. And exhale, release. I can sigh it out and just sense it's like letting air out of a tire. Sensing some pressure relieved. Deep breath in. Hold, sip in a little bit more. And release. You can sigh it out. And again, deep breath in. And hold, sip in a little bit more. And let it go. And right away, as we come into sacred space, we take our seat. We just sense any internal pressure that we might be feeling. Any place that might feel tight or contracted in the body. We just relax, softening the edges around the pressure. Softening the jaw, softening the face, softening any agendas. Nothing to give, nothing to get. I am who I am, and it's enough. Nothing to give, nothing to get. I am who I am, and it's enough. And feel, the insides of your feet. And then the ground beneath your feet. And the solidness of the earth. Trustworthy in its unfailing to hold us up, regardless of how we're feeling or what we're thinking. Let yourself receive the unconditional support of the ground. And feeling your ankles from the inside. And your calves and your shins and any pressure that you feel as we do this body scan. Just softening with what's here. Knees and thighs and hips. Just feeling the legs now from the inside. And steady your attention on your natural in and out breath. Feeling the sacrum and the pelvic bowl. And softening the low belly. Allowing this next inhale to be received into a soft belly. Let your awareness just settle into the belly. Softening. We tend to tighten the belly. Notice what it's like to soften. Now the mid-back and the stomach, like the solar plexus, space between navel and sternum. Maybe there's a lot of sensations here. Just soften. And feeling into the inside of the chest and the upper back. And the arms and the shoulders. The insides of hands. And let yourself have or lean into a sense of friendliness. It's calling upon it. It's sensing what inner friendliness would feel like right now. As you simply let's begin to awaken the heart's longing to love. Inside of the throat, the inside of the head, eyes softening, forehead relaxing. And the spine is energized. The breath coming and going, sort of expanding you from the inside out. On the inhale, there's space. And on the exhale, settling with whatever is arising. Staying with in a soft way with a gentle belly breath. And there's nothing to find, nothing to look for. Release any habit that you may have of trying to fix or change your experience. And just for now, allowing it to be as it is, whether you like it or you don't like it, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, it all belongs. And shoring up your mindfulness by, being really intimate with your breath and the sensations in your body. Let no thought distract you from the fullness of your breath. And when it does, just remembering that this too is part of your practice, in no way divorced from your progress or your growth on the path. And there may be a gap between where you are and where you think you should be. This is the source of a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves. And just seeing the gap is often enough to close it. Maybe this is exactly right. And allow there to be a gentle yet continual return to the bare experience of being. What you taste, what you touch, what you smell, what you feel, the breath. Let yourself be filled by this simple experience of being. Content and easily satisfied. Relinquishing our loyalty to the dissatisfaction that has us searching for something else. Not just noticing experience, but caring about the experience that you're noticing. There's restlessness, let there be a care. There's joy, let there be a care. The mind is all over the place. Remember, that's your mind trying to protect you. Let there be a care. The mind is calm and clear. Let there be a care, a caring. Notice that your experience is changing all the time. There's a tendency to think, oh, if I don't like this, it's just going to keep going forever. We try to wiggle out of unpleasant. But if that arises, rather than trying to wiggle out of it, what's it like just to stay and become curious instead? If there's pleasant experience, we might bypass it, miss it, waiting for something more grand. Than the crispness of the air, or the feeling of a nice deep breath. When pleasant experience arises, let yourself have it. Recognize it as pleasant. Without trying to hold it. You don't have to hold on to anything. If you noticed you've tightened up, just relax. You don't have to search for anything. Nothing's lost. Just let yourself be with your inhale and your exhale. Sounds in the room. As I heard a teacher recently say, the lava lamp of experience in the body. Emotions, thoughts. No need to guard against any of it. Letting the breath support you through it all. relaxing again. You can't do this too much. Just scanning, relaxing, relieving the pressure from the inside. Is always within our control. We can't change the external world or much of it. There's some things we can, but many things that are outside of it, we do have agency or effect over as our internal experience. It's really relaxing. It's always available to you. And as we come to the last minutes of our meditation practice, I'm going to chant the blessings of metta. I learned this chant from a teacher named Tuari Salas. And it starts with I. We begin by wishing ourselves well. Whether or not we like ourselves very much, many of us find it easier to wish others well than ourselves, but we just start with a willingness, knowing that it does begin with us. And then we reach beyond ourselves to you. That would be people or beings in our life that we have easy love for, family, pets, mentors, friends. You can pick one person that you really want to wish well. And then we open up to we, and that's all beings everywhere, including all of us here on this call together. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. And you can open your eyes if they're closed and let yourself orient to your space. Orienting is what we do for our nervous systems. Just looking around the space like, oh, this is what's actually happening in this moment. And we look behind us too, even though the mind might be like, I know where I'm at. We do this for our nervous systems. Yeah. Hi. So good to be with you. So good to be with you. Thank you for popping into the chat your intentions. Feel free, if you didn't do that, to do that. What is your aspiration? What is your intention? Why are you here? I see clarity and grounding. Yeah, to slow down. All right, so we're going to talk about taking the pressure off, and we're going to talk about like just 3 important aspects of radical acceptance and self-actualization, since I sense everyone in this group is really devoted to growth. Those are my people, tend to be that. I'm just curious, there's a lot of new names in here. I'm curious, return to peace. Yes, Marlene. I'm just curious if who in the house, like any coaches, healers, yoga teachers, aspiring or current, like people who are like, a facilitator, a teacher of some kind, mentor. I'm just curious about that. Hi, yes, I know Vicky, yeah. But you can, Marlene, yes. But you can pop that into the chat too. I'm going to read a poem for you. Before I do that, I just want to mention that these teachings, this meditation and Dharma talk is freely offered, and your donations really make a difference. So you can donate to me. There should be a button on the email that I sent to you about this, but you can donate to me via PayPal or Venmo or Zelle. I'm on all the things. And I really appreciate your donations. Those of you who come regularly, I get them and I really appreciate them. So thank you. Another announcement I want to make is that if you liked this and you feel like there's some medicine here for you that you need, you can kind of sense that. You probably already can sense it. Marlene and I, Marlene's here, are offering on Saturday a day-long meditation retreat called Happy for No Reason. And we will be specifically honing in on practices that we know through research and practice help us unhook from dysfunctional thinking and feeling patterns and hook into more wholesome qualities of the heart mind. It doesn't matter how negative your mind is. Anyone can train their hearts to be happy for no reason. I have lots of stories around this, and so do my clients. But you're welcome to that. It's a metta retreat, or metta translates into friendliness or loving kindness. And so it is one of the Brahma Viharas as taught in the Buddhist tradition, and we will be unpacking it, not religiously, but more, but effectively and transformationally for you in that workshop. I'm sure you have the link. Happy for No Reason. I've been sending out tons of emails about it. So we still have space if you'd like to join us. My intention is to reconnect with myself and find peace. Good. Good. My intention is to be connected within to my being. Yeah. Okay, good. Peace, being grounded, beautiful. I sent this poem to you all, and I'm going to read it again. Some of you heard it on Saturday. Marilyn heard it. I just love this, especially around taking the pressure off, because there's some humor to it. There's also some sweetness. This is by Wes Nisker. It's called Why I Meditate. I meditate because I suffer. I suffer, therefore I am. I am, therefore I meditate. I meditate because there are so many other things to do. I meditate because when I was younger, it was all the rage. I meditate because Siddhartha Gautama, Bodhidharma, Marco Polo, the British Raj, Carl Jung, Alan Watts, Jack Kerouac. I meditate because evolution gave me a big brain, but it didn't come with an instruction manual. I meditate because I have all the information I need. I meditate because the largest colonies of living beings, the coral reefs, are dying. I meditate because I want to touch deep time, where the history of humanity can be seen as just an evolutionary adjustment period. I meditate because life is too short and sitting slows it down. I meditate because life is too long and I need an occasional break. I meditate because I want to experience the world as Rumi did, or Walt Whitman, or as Mary Oliver. I meditate because now I know that enlightenment doesn't exist, so I can relax. I meditate because of the Dalai Lama's laugh. I meditate because there are too many advertisements in my head, and I'm erasing all but the very best of them. I meditate because the physicists say that there may be 11 dimensions to reality, and I want to get a peek into a few more of them. I meditate because I've discovered that my mind is a great toy and I like to play with it. I meditate because I want to remember that I'm perfectly human. Sometimes I meditate because my heart is breaking. Sometimes I meditate so that my heart will break. I meditate because a Vedanta master once told me in Hindi my name, Niskar, means non-doer. I meditate because I'm growing old and want to become more comfortable with emptiness. I meditate because I think Robert Thurman was right to call it an evolutionary sport, and I want to be on the home team. I meditate because I'm composed of 100 trillion cells, and from time to time I need to reassure them that we're all in this together. I meditate because it's such a relief to spend time ignoring myself. I meditate because my country spends more money on weapons than all other nations in the world combined. If I had more courage, I'd probably immolate myself. I meditate because I want to discover the fifth Brahma Vihara, the divine abode of awe, and then go down in history as a great spiritual adept. I meditate because I'm building myself a bigger and better perspective. And occasionally, I need to add a new window. Let's talk about that new window, taking the pressure off. Well, right now, you might just relax your body and sense how it is after that meditation, where I wove in some somatic practices for taking the pressure off. I talked about, and I'll talk about 3 points. And the first one I want to talk to is closing the gap. And my students know this, talk about it all the time. So one of the things I learned on retreat, Marlene and I took a retreat recently together online, and I loved this translation of suffering. Because the first noble truth on the Buddhist path is life is suffering. And I know that as I grok in my own life that, pain happens in life. Like no matter what I do, I'm going to encounter things I don't like, right? Because when we're trying to control everything outside of us so that we're not uncomfortable, right? People pleasing comes from that place. Overextending yourself often comes from that place. Saying yes when you mean no often comes from that place. When we're trying to control people's like opinions of us, or we're trying to control somebody else's experience or our own experience, we suffer. But suffering can be better translated, I think, into dissatisfactoriness. So I liked that translation of suffering being dissatisfied. Because when we're dissatisfied, don't we go looking for something else to satiate us? Like when we're dissatisfied, then we start looking outside of ourselves to find that thing that we're missing that's going to help us to be satisfied. As the Buddha called it, content and easily satisfied. And you can just reflect on content and easily satisfied and draw them into yourself right now and sense them as states of being that you can incline towards. But we're hungry for content. We're hungry to be easily satisfied, but yet we try to satisfy this dissatisfaction in all the wrong ways, looking outside of ourselves, like looking for love in all the wrong places. And so the first thing we want to do is just close that gap between where we are and where we think we should be. Oh, if I was doing that, then I would be satisfied. Then I would be happy. Oh, if I had a different partner, if my partner really understood me, if they weren't so lazy or blah, 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 or whatever your thing is, then I would be happy. If only my house were bigger, if only I had a house, if only I had a better car, if only COVID were over, if only whatever our thing is, if only is the gap. It creates the gap, because if we satisfied that, it wouldn't actually truly satisfy, right? You've already gotten a lot of things in your life. And we have to understand that getting things externally, getting that house, getting that car, getting that partner, having those kids, publishing that. I'm looking at Vicky, but I know there's a lot of us here who have a book in our hearts that we want to publish, publishing that book, having tons of clients, whatever your thing is, that actually isn't going to satisfy. It's wonderful, and we should still pursue our purpose, because it's in the pursuit of the purpose, it's in the pursuit itself, it's in the process of that we become satisfied and satiated. But we never get anywhere. There's nowhere to get. Close the gap. Where you are is exactly where you should be. Now, that can be bad news if you're in a place of feeling a lot of pain. But if you're feeling pain, physical, emotional, or something else, you believing that there's something wrong with you for feeling that pain is suffering. There's nothing wrong with you. Take that in. There's nothing wrong with you. We think that to be clear, we can't be confused. But in fact, the path to clarity is confusion. Close the gap. Stop fighting where you are. And just come back. How do we close the gap? We come into the body. We unhook from thinking. I named some usual tendencies of the thinking mind when we started this meditation: planning, rehashing, rehearsing, remembering, judging, fantasizing, criticizing, comparing, right? Just spend a few minutes on social media to know your comparing mind. If you figured out how to not let your comparing mind arise when you're on social media, you let me know. I'm kidding, because it's just a natural part of the mind. It's not a problem that we do it, that we compare, for example. It's not a problem. The problem is that we do it and we're not aware that we're doing it. That's the problem. The fact that you can be greedy and judgy and cantankerous and bitchy or whatever it is sometimes isn't the problem. That's just called human. Especially spiritual seekers, we tend to think that our spiritual practices are going to just, then we shouldn't be angry anymore. We shouldn't feel scarcity anymore. We shouldn't feel bad anymore. And that's just not the truth. What we want to foster is an awareness that it's happening, an awareness of its arising, and a naming of it. This helps us to close the gap. Oh, I'm feeling anxious right now. And it's okay. I don't like it, but it's okay. It's not wrong. Oh, I'm feeling excited right now, right? I'm feeling or I'm thinking, or whatever it is that's happening. We want to cultivate the awareness that notices. And we also want to cultivate the friendliness to be with it. We need both compassion and insight. So that's closing the gap, being in the body, naming what's true in the moment, and allowing it to be there, whether you like it or not. So that gap often is what's creating pressure, right? That gap is what's creating pressure. Oh, I'm believing it should be some other way. And it's okay that you're believing it should be some other way. You just want to know that that's what you're doing, right? And you get the signals, right? The irritation arises, or the fear arises, or like the emotional like feedback arises that lets you know, oh, okay, there's an expectation here. There's a gap that just opened. Because our natural state is peace. Peace is the highest happiness. I love that was so many of your intentions. And peace is big enough to hold the entirety of your experience, and we can relax with what is. That is peace. Peace is not the absence of confusion or drama or anything like that. Peace is this is here and it's okay. I may not like it, and that's okay too. I may love it, and that's wonderful. Everything changes. And that's closing the gap. That's the first thing I want to talk about in taking the pressure off. Self-actualization is this being your best self, right? Being actualized, being like fully expressed, being your authentic self, being aligned with that. I call it the radiant self, and living from the radiant self. Part of living in alignment with the radiant self, living from the radiant self, is realizing that the radiant self shifts from moment to moment in terms of there is no permanent sense of it. The radiant self is more closely woven to awareness that never dies, but it's less affected by what awareness is noticing. And the radiant self is connected to the inherent capacity and qualities of the heart. The heart knows how to be loving. The heart knows how to have peace and joy. These are things that are in the heart that are often covered up by our preoccupation with what's wrong. We love to harp on what's wrong because we think that that's going to solve the problem. It's innocent the way that we do this, the way we criticize our family, for example, because they're not doing something right or the way that it should be done, we think, or we're not doing something the way that we think it should be done. For example, focusing on our deficits and others' deficits and the deficits of our life doesn't work. I mean, there's always going to be problems that we're always going to be tending to in some way, shape, or form. But spending a disproportionate of time on that is one of the ways that we are devoted to our dissatisfaction or our suffering, loyalty to our suffering. So inclining the heart mind towards more wholesome states like gratitude absolutely helps to take the pressure off. We can't forget, though, that inclining the mind towards beauty, not as a bypass, but as a support, inclining the mind towards gratitude, inclining the mind towards what's working, what's lovely, beautiful, or true. This is where our spiritual work is, because it's real easy to notice what's wrong. What's not so easy for most of us is to notice what's right. And then not to use that as a bypass, as a spiritual bypass. I'm feeling angry and I put some affirmation on top of it. I'm infinitely abundant. It's well, if you're feeling really scarce in that moment, you need to acknowledge that you're scared and you feel like you don't have enough before you practice affirming your abundance. So such a subtle thing, but it's necessary. And then we can ask, once we've closed the gap, what's my best right now? Right now, rather than I have to be my best self all the time for the rest of my life. It's like this future self. We're always leaning into the future self in this work of self-actualization, but it's not in some future self. It's in this moment right now, when we consciously sense what's my best right now, and let the answer be revealed to you. It's powerful. It's really powerful. I can't quite emphasize like how this shifts things, but it does. And everyone can do it, and you can't fail at it because it's always changing. You're not beating yourself up for not being your best yesterday. You're just like, in this moment, what's my best? Like right now. How can you give your best to how you're showing up to this Dharma talk right now? Right? And then there might be some kind of like something that happens internally, some kind of shift, right? And I love playing with this. What's my best right now? And if I'm tired, it's different than when I have a lot of energy. If my heart is broken, it's different than when my heart is full, right? So I like this question just to work with, and I encourage us all to, what's my best right now? Because it takes into consideration where we are in that moment. Sometimes our best is just to keep our mouth shut when we really, really feel compelled to like give it to someone, you know, either in an email or a text or out loud. We can just bite our tongue because like we can sense it's not coming from the right place. Sometimes that's our best, right? If we're super cranky, our best looks different than when we're feeling super energized and amazing, right? But there's always something, you know, so just play with that. What's my best right now? And don't let it, it doesn't have to be bigger than that. Because the comparing mind is not to be trusted. Oh, I was so much better back then. I really, like, I've made so, like, I've really got backtracked. I hear that a lot with spiritual people, with like yogis. Oh, you know, gosh, like, you know, I have a client who's just like, man, when I was in my 20s, I was just like on fire. Nothing stopped me. And now I'm all like, you know, and I'm like, actually, we don't know what it was like for you in your 20s, nor do you, because it's a memory and memories are faulty. And why don't we stop comparing the past you with the present you and close the gap and start from here? It's not useful or even truthful to do that to ourselves, to compare ourselves to some version of us that we think is better than the one that we have, that we are right now. But we can stretch that version of us by asking that question, what's my best right now? I play with it all the time, especially like these cold mornings. I'll like notice that I'm like, oh, I don't want to like, you know, get dressed to go for my walk or whatever, my yoga practice, because I'm so cold. And then I'll think, what's my best right now? And I'll just like, okay, I'm just going to get up and like, you know, take all my clothes off and like brace the cold, you know, and put my clothes on and go, you know, that's my best. Like I'm dealing with the discomfort of the cold, and I'm like, right. So that's just, that's an example. If I'm on a walk, what's my best right now? There's usually like a little bit more engagement that I can have with what I'm doing, right? When I'm with my clients, it's just a really good question that's super helpful. And then the third piece I wanted to mention around self-actualization and radical acceptance. The reason it's radical, by the way, is because it's the antithesis of what we've been taught. Meaning, if you're angry or you're sad, you should fix it, right? And then we get on this self-improvement project. And that's not radical acceptance. It's radical because we're learning to accept our shadow. We don't have to like it, but we make space for it and we clearly see it. And we can't do that if we don't have a certain amount of kindness or friendliness. And if you have a hard time with inner kindness and inner friendliness, I really want to see you at that workshop on Saturday. Because like, there's a cost to staying stuck in that place. There's a cost to staying stuck in the negative view, right? And I know this better than anybody because I have a really judgmental mind. So that I've needed to cultivate and train over time because it's caused me a lot of pain. But your mind can be trained through certain practices that we know work. The last thing I wanted to mention is relax the body. So we were doing that in our guided meditation practice, but just coming back to this relaxing of the body. So 3 points, once again, in terms of taking the pressure off, radical acceptance and self-actualization. Close the gap. What's my best right now? And keep coming back to this relaxing of the body. Because if you're all tight in there, it's gonna have an impact on everything else. Start here, relax here. Be the change you wish to see in the world. In other words. So I would love for us, as we're closing out here, to I'd love for you to let me know in the chat, what was your biggest takeaway from this talk, from this meditation? What was your biggest takeaway? Okay, let's see. Hello, okay. What's my best right now, Marlene? Nadine, closing the gap. Marilyn, same as Marlene. Good. I'd love to see a few more. What's your best right now? It might be popping something into the chat. I did include the landing page for Happy for No Reason here in the chat. For me, don't trust the comparing mind. Yeah, Julia, because I do this all the time. And what's my best right now? Good, good. Gain, needed rest. Gain, needed rest from anxiety. Awesome. Good, Joanne. Okay, and there's the landing page for Happy for No Reason. You can check it out and enroll if you haven't already. Good. Okay, loves, so good to be with you. Stop fighting where I'm at and what is my best right now. Good. I'm glad that resonated with you. It's such a simple thing, but it's makes a big difference. So work with that today, and just may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be well, and may you have a feeling of well-being that isn't bound by circumstances or conditions. Feel free to take yourself off mute and say goodbye.
Thank you, Karina.
Oh, you're welcome, Joanne. So good to see you. You're welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. Namaste.
Yes, namaste, Marilyn.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Karina.
You're welcome, Marlene. Bye. Oh, good, Julia. Come back next week.